Hi, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Good morning, Fabian.
Good day, Van. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. It's evening here, and you might hear the rain in the background. So, I want to cover the word
Well,
enlightenment.
that's some.
Yeah, it's a bit lagging.
Yeah. Well, we hope it goes anyways.
Yeah. So I want to cover the word enlightenment today, because there's a lot of different meaning floating around. And I probably just want to clear where we stand. Um,
A
so
big word.
yeah, um, so enlightenment means you awaken, you liberated, but what are you liberated or awakened from? Um, I hear quite common use, from very, how, you would say mundane use of it. Every time somebody have an insight, they would say they enlighten. But that's more like, everyday joking kind of language. And then you go to different groups and they would use enlightenment to mean self-awareness, right? The moment somebody awaken from to see their own puppet master, um, to see the how to call it, the slip the sleeping state that they were in, how reactive they are and how identified they were. So they use the words enlightened to be liberated from that. But where I am standing, um, I wouldn't use the word enlightenment. I wouldn't use the word liberated or awakened from, because there it implied there is somebody in there to liberate it from something or awaken from something, right? So I would use the word Nibbana, which is, I think, more apt because it's the total extinguishment, the total cessation. So what does total? What are we extinguishing and cease? Impermanent is cease, dukkha is cease, non-self is cease, no, atta is cease. So yeah, so in that sense, that is what Nibbana is, and it is very different to the word enlightenment that, or nirvana, that is associated and floating around out there. Um, but as we train ourselves in our developments, there will be different stages of enlightenment, right? So when there is a sense of self, then you can kind of use the word enlightenment, because there is somebody liberating from old habits, liberated from, they shift from a little bit from their old self. It's like, you use the scenario, the analogy of peeling the onion. So every time you peel a few layers or a layer, you can say you enlighten a bit. But right at the end, right at the core of the onion is Nibbana. Because in the core of the onion, there's no more layers, right, to be peeled, to be enlightened from. So Nibbana isn't a state, and it isn't a big event, or it isn't a meditation experience or attainment, right? There's, yeah, so do you have any questions so far?
Yeah, questions and some comments maybe. So what I understood is that if people from a, say, ordinary level, or maybe are being even a bit spiritual, saying I am enlightened, or I made an enlightenment experience, is actually that they might have had some insight, which is basically for them lightening up something. So saying that if they're normally stuck in the self, in the habits, in point of views, you know, I'm this, I'm that, and then they have some experiences bringing actually some light into this, say, dark room of the self, and then, aha, wow, I've never experienced that before, there must be, I'm enlightened. So they have this conception about that. So that's what I understood. And you say, well, you don't really like the word enlightenment or liberation or waking up, because there is basically no one there who is in the end experiencing it. So you like to call it more Nibbana. And actually, there's a lot of questions coming up. Like you mentioned the 4 states of Nibbana. And may some of the audience have heard about the 10 fetters, which is sometimes linked to the, say, attainment, or the letting go or the seizing of some, say, crucial anchors which hold you in samsara. But what I really love is what you said about the onion, right? So the onion is yeah, it's just layer after layer after layer. So basically, experiencing samsara, having been reborn so often, is actually we put on layer after layer after layer. So that's sort of a huge onion, right? An onion big as worlds, right? And then we're practicing the spiritual path, and then we undo the layers in order to come to the center. And actually, if people have peeled an onion, actually it's empty inside. So in the end, so that must mean it's sort of emptiness, right? And the Nibbana state, you say, it's not a big event, it's not a state, it's not attainment. So my question is, actually, I put a lot of questions in there already, but one of the questions is, so what is it then if it's not a big event or a big attainment? So what is it then?
Right. So I don't like to classify things. I don't like to put too much category. For example, the 10 fetters and the 4 enlightenment states. It's just too defined. When you train, it's not distinct like that. It's not one after the other cut. It's not like that. And another thing is, what at the end, then we have to talk about the sense of self. So But in this topic, we are covering just the misconception of enlightenment and what is Nibbana. Right. So, of course, there is, it depends on which path a person takes to. But the one that I like to cover is the jhana from, you can call it from 1 to 8 jhana, and then the 9th is cessation. And then, and at least towards, particularly at the end, the person would feel the expansion of consciousness. And the expansion of the consciousness doesn't limit to just sitting meditation. It's like, it's a permanent, not a permanent, but quite permanent state. So it's also when they are awake and walking around and might be going to work. So there's a lot of changes. And after that, together with the expansion is the, I would call it the blip in, blip out. But I will cover all this. Actually, I already made clips covering these,
Yes, I've seen some of those.
Yeah, so just to quickly cover in this, what we talk about. At the end, then the sense of self start to blip in and out, on and off. And then finally, it'll just turn completely off. It's just like somebody turned off the light. And yeah, there won't be light coming on anymore, right? But that doesn't mean that the person is not a person anymore. How they see themselves, or that awareness, where that awareness that you are aware of yourself, like Fabian, right? That center of reference, or that agent, or that sense of self is empty. So that part is the center of the onion.
Yes,
Yeah.
makes
So
sense.
yeah. So before before that part, there is the layer of the onion, because there is somebody aware, there is somebody who knows, there is somebody who feel, who think, who identify, right? To say the sense of self is an ego is quite raw, still gross. A sense of self is way more subtler than that. It's in the knowing, it's in the awareness, right? It's in the silent awareness, it's in the objective watcher. So that is the sense of self, right? It's more closer to the center of the onion, but still there is the layer there, right?
Yeah.
But when the sense of self disappeared and there is this emptiness, then that emptiness is the core of the onion, right? Where there is nothing.
Okay, I just have a quick question in between. So you're saying before you said that basically enlightenment happening, or going through Nibbana. So a person basically experiences that that consciousness, like that, or like it experiences it, but at the same time, so there's actually nobody, or is somebody there who can actually experience it. Isn't it? Like maybe that's too complicated of a question, but
So
so yeah.
so you're saying while you are in training and practicing, or while you are peeling the onion, there is still that somebody who knows and aware of the experience.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, of course.
And then, but like if then sort of Nibbana happens, then there is actually sort of there is not such a sense of self left who could actually see that one is enlightenment, or is it possible? I don't know.
Ah, ah. So I understand what you're getting at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So um there is the knowing of what cease. That is one part of your whole training. Is each step you would know what has been ceased and what is new, right? So it's like
Mm-hmm.
you left Germany, right? You would know that you left Germany behind. And when you come
Yes.
to Australia, then you would know that this is Australia, this is new, and you have left Germany behind. It's pretty much like that.
Ah,
So there is the knowing that there is something ceased, and it's not a personal sense of self that realized that Nibbana happiness. If there is such a thing, then it's not Nibbana, is it? Because there is still somebody who experiences something.
so it is basically the, I don't know how to put it there. Maybe that's because of the language barriers, but so there is actually such a thing as there's still the consciousness or the nature of the consciousness, then knowing, like even without the sense of self, knowing that something happened, like with the example from like me, like leaving Germany and you know going to Australia. So I know, or not I know, but there is knowing about that I got to Australia, or like that Nibbana has attained, right? So
Yeah. This is very tricky. You entering into the zone of paradox now. When you're talking about a person who is both emptiness and the canvas, but you got to understand the five canvas is still there, right?
still there,
Consciousness
yeah,
is
yeah.
still there, and the personality is still there, right? But then now there is the emptiness. Now there is no sense of self, but there is still personalities, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's very um, conventional language can't cope, doesn't have terms to describe this state or this experience to convey the two things happening at the same time. It's like the Schindler's List cat, you know, it can't be dead and alive at the same time. It's one or the other.
Yes,
That's our language
it's
can
actually,
understand.
yeah, that's actually yesterday my best friend came here and we've talked about that sort of scientifical approach towards it, and you know the smallest things called quarks, you know, and then they sort of are change their behavior when they are observed, right?
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah,
it's very interesting. But yeah,
yeah.
this different realities is definitely a topic we should cover in another talk. Like that, I love this idea of this, that there are different realities we are actually in right now, but we cannot see it yet. So yeah,
Okay, yeah, yeah. We'll cover that next time. Um, so you got to understand. Um, you can try to understand the yes and the no, emptiness and the working of the five candles at the same time, but um, to understand from a point of view of a sense of self is incredibly hard. It's so hard.
Mhm.
And so because before, when you were the layer of the onion, all you see is layers of the onion, right?
That's right. Yeah.
You can't see the middle. It's only when there is the middle opening, that's when there is the middle and the layers at the same time. But while you are peeling, you can't see the middle. All you see is layers. All you see is outside.
That's right. Yeah, it's fascinating to talk about that. So, but what I wanted to ask you, from what you said, like say 5 minutes before, you say there are actually different paths towards Nibbana. So, the audience might be interested in the different ways to actually, well, we said we don't say the word attain Nibbana, but experiencing Nibbana then. So what can you say about the different paths?
Well, again, this is not my territory because I can only talk my path
Ah, yeah.
because I can't really talk about other people's path. Um, to talk about other people's path, and I'll have to rely on the books, So, yeah, there's all this term floating around, and until I meet a person who actually go in a different path, it's very hard to to talk about it. Um, but the one that I'm going to be covering in this series of videos is the jhana path.
Yes, I mean that's actually one of like of course it's a personal meaning, but like the jhanas are, it has been always something which like got me into like being very interested in them, because like the feeling you go through once you're being in such a state is just phenomenally yeah, just mind blasting. So yeah, of course, like I'm looking forward to this yeah, different jhanas. We might even, I mean, I know that you on your channel have talked about the different jhanas already, but maybe
Yeah,
more or
I'll
less
leave to
we
a question and answer time.
yes. Yeah. So okay. So you say yeah. So you say that you basically not have to sit, say, cross-legged in this, say, normal position of meditation in order to experience Nibbana, right? So you can also like do it on walking or standing or lying down or
Well, from what I know, it can happen anytime. And it's not necessary during meditation. It could have happened during while you sleep, and then when you wake up, you realize something changed, or um, as you're walking to the car park or catch a bus, you realize something changed. You realize that there is nobody in there walking. There is nobody in there talking. There is nobody in there um, doing all these things. But it is not a sense of self who realize that. Okay, it's very confusing language to talk.
yeah. I know. But I think we agree on that fact definitely, that it is not one who's doing the nibbana, right? So who's making it
It
the
is the
nibbana,
other
but
way around. It's the fact that the one that's been doing, or the to be precise, at right the end, is not the one who's doing anymore, because the doing is left quite early on. It's more like the one that is aware or the one that is known and perceived, that one's gone.
Yes. Um, but before this attainment, or like this, that the Nibbana happens, is so you have to basically so what is the cause of it that it happens? Of course, we could only say meditation, but yeah, like what can be the cause? Like, because it then happens maybe in sleep, maybe in walk, maybe driving to work, and then it happens. But so maybe some people are interested in
It's the
understanding.
what leading to that is a whole lifetime or many lifetime of development. What leading to that is all these practice, all this hard work, all these meditation, all these jhanas, all this insight, all these shifts, all this transformation. That's what leading to it. So it's not a one experience. It's not one attainment. It is a
Mhm.
whole heap of life and lives of developments.
Yes, yes. So yeah, and well, I mean, you said before that you don't really like to like put this sort of four stages of enlightenment or the 10 fetter, like you don't like to categorize. But can it, maybe it's interesting for some people to hear if it is maybe possible that, you know, you are sort of in the, say, first stage of enlightened and you don't even know it, or like you have born, say, as a stream enterer, and which has been said that they only have 7 lifetimes left, and you might even be in, say, the sixth or the fifth lifetime left. So is that
Well,
actually possible, or without knowing it?
you do feel you do have insights. You do have lots of insights, and you do have lots of little shifts and big shifts. Um, but the way I experience the big shift at the end is really big. It's phenomenal big. And towards the end, there is a lot and a lot of major transformation. And you can't miss that. You can't not go unknowing, right? In the beginning, there might be shift and there might be insights and there might be a meditation experience that lift you and shift you a little bit, but that can be slight and go unnoticed. But towards the end, when your sense of self is blipping, you definitely know that that
Yeah.
something is going on. You cannot blip in and out of reality, or of your sense of self, and not knowing. It's like one moment you're here and the other moment you're totally not here, but your body's still moving.
Yes. Um,
There's a big
yeah.
big big signs that something's going on.
So it's like a traffic light, basically. When you say red, so you definitely stop, and then you sort of look around and see, okay, I'm not moving anymore. Something is happening.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ah, fantastic. I mean, to talk about some more, I think we have just 7 minutes left, or something. It's maybe sort of it's over the frame of time, so we might keep up some for the next talks. But do you want to summarize like what enlightenment is? Like maybe the last 2 minutes, or like.
Yeah, I the last few minutes I want to also clarify the bodhisattva way, you know. Um from my understanding, the bodhisattva way is not Nibbana. Uh, you might call it enlightenment. There's, of course, there's the certain stage of their enlightenment, but the facts that a person keep coming back and keep reincarnation that fact goes to show it's not Nibbana. It's not the final liberation,
Because
right?
then you would not enter samsara again.
Yeah, because there is so much people calling this Buddha and that Buddha coming back, and it's total misconception. The Buddha don't come back. Any Buddha who become Buddha don't come back, because um, that's just totally not the definition, right? The definition of being the Buddha is total liberation, total cessation, total extinguishment. So there is nothing to come back. And the fact that somebody do come back goes to show that they have some kind of enlightenment, but they are not Nibbana. I just want to clear that out. So that we know what we're talking about.
Yes. Yes.
And
Great.
yeah, so we will cover what were we going to cover? Reality, is it?
Well, yeah, there's actually some things, some topics popping up while we talk. I just write some stuff down which pop up to mind, and like for me, it's very interesting to understand the difference between, say, consciousness and awareness and mindfulness, and yeah, and what is concentration in that sense, and so maybe about like maybe clarifying some of the words, and yeah, so that's something I'm interested in, because you hear that quite often, you read that quite often. You're aware of that, you're mindful of that, and then you meditate. But mindfulness and
Okay.
meditation is the future,
Okay.
say.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. We'll talk about the nature of consciousness next time.
Okay, great. I'm looking forward to it. Okay.
Thank you, everybody. And bye bye for now.
Bye bye. See ya.